A college student in Miami just got arrested at airport security for something in her carry-on that seemed completely innocent. She missed her flight, spent the night in custody, and now faces federal charges that could follow her for life. The item? Something millions of travelers pack without a second thought. Airport security doesn't give warnings anymore. One wrong item in your carry-on and you're not just missing your flight. You're facing fines up to $15,000, criminal charges, and a permanent record that shows up every time you try to board a plane. What's terrifying is how normal these banned items seem. Everyday objects, things you use at home. But the moment you cross that security checkpoint, they become federal offenses. And the last item on this list? TSA agents say they find it dozens of times every single day. Something so common that most travelers have no idea it's illegal. When you hear what it is, you'll understand why arrest rates at airport security have tripled in the last 2 years. This isn't about nail clippers or water bottles. This is about items that trigger immediate law enforcement response. So stay till the end, because one mistake can turn a vacation into a nightmare. Number 10. Lithium batteries. Over 100 watt-hours, loose. Everyone knows you can't pack lithium batteries in checked luggage, but what they don't tell you is that even in carry-on bags, there are strict limits. Any lithium battery over 100 watt-hours requires airline approval, and if it's loose, not installed in a device, you're looking at major problems. The fine starts at $500 for a first offense. But here's the twist that catches people. If you have multiple loose batteries, they fine you per battery. A photographer traveling with 5 spare camera batteries just got hit with a $2,500 fine at JFK. And it gets worse internationally. Countries like Australia and Singapore have zero tolerance. They don't just confiscate the batteries, they detain you. One traveler spent 12 hours in custody in Sydney because he had loose power tool batteries in his carry-on. But what no one expects is that some batteries don't even list their watt-hour rating. You have to calculate it yourself. Most people have no idea how to do that math. They pack the battery thinking it's fine. TSA pulls them aside, and suddenly they're arguing with federal agents about electrical specifications. Keep batteries under 100 watt-hours, installed in devices or individually wrapped. Anything else is rolling the dice. Number 9. Realistic toy guns or replicas. A father traveling from Denver to Orlando had a toy pistol in his carry-on. Not for him, for his 6-year-old son. Birthday present, bright orange tip. Obviously plastic. Clearly a toy. Security didn't care. They pulled him out of line, confiscated the toy, called local police. He was detained for 3 hours, missed his flight, and his son's birthday was ruined. But here's what makes this insane. The definition of realistic replica is completely subjective. TSA agents make judgment calls. Water guns, Nerf blasters, cap guns. Even if they're obviously toys, TSA can classify them as prohibited items, and the consequences escalate fast. If you argue with the TSA agent, you can be charged with interfering with security screening. That's a federal offense. Fines up to $1,500. Criminal charges for aggressive behavior. One man in Chicago got arrested because he laughed when a TSA agent flagged his son's Star Wars blaster. The agent called it disruptive behavior. Local police arrested him for disorderly conduct. He spent 8 hours in custody, missed his sister's wedding, packed toys in checked luggage. Always. Number 8. Pepper spray or self-defense items. Even small keychain-sized pepper spray is absolutely prohibited in carry-on bags. Zero tolerance. The moment TSA finds it, you're pulled aside. The spray is confiscated, and you're facing a minimum $300 fine. But here's where it gets complicated. Some states allow pepper spray in checked luggage if it meets specific criteria. Volume under 4 ounces. Safety mechanism. Sealed container. Other states and airlines ban it entirely. A businesswoman flying from Seattle to Miami had a small pepper spray in her checked suitcase. Legal in Washington. Legal for checked luggage under TSA rules. But her connecting flight went through Texas. Texas state law prohibits pepper spray in any luggage without a permit. They found it during a random search. Fined her $400. And internationally, most countries classify pepper spray as a prohibited weapon. A tourist arriving in London with pepper spray in her checked bag was detained for 6 hours. Interrogated about intent. Banned from bringing defensive sprays into the UK. The same goes for self-defense keychains and Kubotans. These have exploded in popularity. Small keychain weapons, tactical pens. They seem harmless, but TSA classifies them as weapons. A college student had a cat-shaped self-defense keychain. Cute design, sharp ears for striking. TSA confiscated it immediately. She was questioned about carrying a weapon. The bottom line, leave all defensive items at home. Number 7. Flammable liquids and aerosols. Everyone knows about gasoline and lighter fluid, but the list of flammable liquids is shockingly long. Nail polish remover, rubbing alcohol, certain perfumes with high alcohol content, aerosol hairsprays, even some hand sanitizers over 70% alcohol. TSA allows these in limited quantities under the 3-1-1 rule. 3-ounce containers, 1 quart-sized bag, 1 bag per passenger. But if you exceed those limits, even slightly, you're facing confiscation and potential fines. A makeup artist traveling to a wedding had professional-grade setting spray. The bottle was 4 ounces, just 1 ounce over. TSA confiscated it. But here's the nightmare scenario. Spillage. If a flammable liquid spills inside your carry-on during the flight and the odor is detected, the plane can be grounded. Hazmat teams get called, and you're responsible for the costs. This happened on a flight from Phoenix to Las Vegas. A passenger's nail polish remover leaked. Fumes spread through the cabin. The pilot made an emergency landing. The airline billed the passenger $12,000 for diversion costs. She fought it in court. Thought. Airlines hold passengers liable for costs incurred due to improperly packed items. Check labels. When in doubt, put it in checked luggage. Number 6. Certain foods, liquids or gels. The 3-1-1 rule applies to food, but most travelers don't realize this until it's too late. Peanut butter, gin, honey, yogurt, hummus, salsa. Anything with a liquid or gel consistency is subject to the 3-ounce limit. It doesn't matter that it's food. TSA classifies it as a liquid. A grandmother packed homemade jam, 6 jars. Family recipe. TSA confiscated all of it. She was devastated. But what really catches people are the grey areas. Soft cheeses like brie can be flagged as gels. Pies with liquid fillings get confiscated. There's no official guideline. It's up to the individual agent's interpretation. And then there are international food restrictions. Bringing food into other countries can trigger agriculture violations. Fresh fruit, meats, dairy. Many countries have strict biosecurity laws. Australia is notorious. They X-ray every bag. Detector dogs. Zero tolerance enforcement. A traveller arriving in Melbourne had an apple in her bag, left over from the flight. They fined her $360 on the spot. New Zealand is even stricter. Any undeclared food item can result in prosecution, fines, even jail time for serious violations. Don't pack food unless you're absolutely sure it complies with both TSA rules and destination country laws. Number 5. Lighters, more than one, or torch lighters. You're allowed 1 standard lighter in carry-on. Cigarette lighter, disposable Bic, that's fine. But torch lighters, the kind used for cigars, completely banned. Carry-on or checked. Luggage, no exceptions. A cigar enthusiast had a $200 torch lighter. TSA confiscated it. He argued it was expensive, collectible. Didn't matter. Torch lighters are prohibited because the flame is too intense. And if you have more than 1 standard lighter, you're risking confiscation and questioning. TSA sees multiple lighters as suspicious. But here's the bizarre part. You can't pack any lighters in checked luggage, not even standard ones. Fire hazards in the cargo hold, so you can carry one on your person or in carry-on. But you can't check any. Internationally, it gets messier. Some countries ban lighters entirely on flights. Others allow them only in checked luggage. A traveller flying from the US to Japan had a lighter in carry-on. Legal under TSA rules. Japanese authorities at Narita confiscated it on arrival. Number 4. Electronic cigarettes with e-liquid. Vaping devices are allowed in carry-on bags. You cannot pack them in checked luggage because of lithium batteries. But the e-liquid is where travelers get hammered. E-liquid falls under the 3-1-1 rule, 3 ounces or less. Most vape bottles are 60 milliliters or 120 milliliters, way over the limit. TSA confiscates them constantly. A vapor traveling through Atlanta had 6 bottles, total value about $150, all confiscated. He didn't realize the liquid restriction applied, but it gets worse internationally. Many countries ban vaping devices entirely. Thailand, Singapore, India, Brazil, Turkey. If you're caught bringing a vaping device into these countries, you face arrest. A British tourist was detained in Thailand for 3 days because he had a vape pen, eventually released with a warning and deportation order. Banned from Thailand for 5 years. Singapore can fine you up to $2,000. Repeat offenses lead to jail time. Research laws at your destination before packing anything. If there's any doubt, leave it home. Number 3. Sporting equipment and tools. Baseball bats, golf clubs, hockey sticks, ski poles. All banned from carry-on. This catches sports enthusiasts constantly. A Little League coach had a souvenir mini baseball bat, 18 inches long. Clearly not full size. TSA confiscated it anyway. The rule, anything that can be used as a club is prohibited, but interpretation extends to surprising items. Hiking poles, long selfie sticks, even umbrellas with pointed tips. A photographer had a professional monopod, basically a one-legged tripod. TSA classified it as a potential weapon, confiscated. Tools are equally problematic. Screwdrivers over 7 inches, wrenches, crowbars, hammers, all prohibited. A contractor traveling for a job had basic tools in his carry-on, everything confiscated. He explained they were for work. TSA didn't budge. He had to buy replacements at his destination. And then there's the really strange enforcement. A fisherman had collapsible fishing rods. TSA flagged them as potential weapons. Hollow aluminum tubes. The agent said they could theoretically be used as clubs. Confiscated. Pack all sporting equipment and tools in checked luggage. No exceptions. Number 2. Marijuana and CBD products. This is where things get legally complicated. Marijuana is legal in many states. CBD is legal federally under certain conditions, but airports are federal property, and federally, marijuana is still. Schedule 1. TSA's official policy. They're not actively looking for drugs. But if they find marijuana during screening, they're required to report it to law enforcement. What happens next depends on where you are. At LAX or SeaTac, local police usually don't care. They might confiscate it, tell you to throw it away, rarely arrest. At DFW or Atlanta, you're getting arrested. Texas and Georgia enforce federal drug laws. You'll be detained, potentially charged, miss your flight. One traveler had legal CBD oil from Colorado, flying through Dallas. TSA found it, called police, arrested him for marijuana possession. Charges were eventually dropped after lab testing. Confirmed it was CBD. But he spent 18 hours in custody, lost his job because he didn't show up for a meeting. Internationally, it's worse. Carrying marijuana or CBD across borders is drug trafficking. A woman flying from Seattle to Alaska had marijuana gummies, legal in both states. But the flight crosses Canadian airspace. Drug dogs flagged her bag at landing. She was detained and questioned about international drug trafficking. Never fly with marijuana or CBD, even where it's legal. The risk is too high. But the final item on this list, it's something TSA finds multiple times every single day. Something so common that it's become the #1 reason for security delays across the country. And when you hear what it is, you're going to check your bag immediately, because chances are you've packed it before without thinking twice. This one item causes more fines, more arrests, and more missed flights than everything else combined. Number 1. Loaded firearms. Forgotten by owners. You'd think this would be obvious, But TSA finds loaded guns in carry-on bags every single day. In 2025, TSA intercepted over 6,700 firearms at checkpoints. That's more than 18 per day. And 93% were loaded. These aren't criminals trying to hijack planes. They're ordinary travelers who forgot they had a gun in their bag. A businessman in Atlanta got arrested because he had a handgun in his laptop bag. He completely forgot it was there, carries it for protection, tossed his laptop bag on the X-ray belt. Alarms went off. Police arrested him immediately. He faced federal charges, fines up to $15,000. His concealed carry permit didn't matter. Firearms are absolutely prohibited in carry-on luggage, no exceptions. But what's shocking is how often this happens with responsible gun owners. A retired police officer traveling through Phoenix had his service weapon in a backpack. Muscle memory. He carried that gun every day for 30 years. Just forgot it was there. TSA found it. Federal charges followed. The penalties are severe. First offense, minimum $3,000 fine. Second offense, up to $15,000. And that's just TSA. Local law enforcement can add criminal charges. In states with strict gun laws like New York or California, carrying a firearm through airport security can result in felony charges. Even if you have a valid permit from another state, even if it was an honest mistake. A Texas resident with a valid concealed carry permit flew into JFK, had his pistol in a carry-on, forgot it was there. New York doesn't recognize Texas permits. He was arrested for illegal weapons possession, spent 3 days in jail, paid $25,000 for a lawyer, eventually pled down to a misdemeanor. But his arrest record is permanent. And here's what makes this so frustrating for gun owners. The rules for checking firearms are actually straightforward, unloaded, hard-sided locked case. Declare it a check-in. But people either don't know the rules or simply forget the gun is in their bag. TSA recommends a simple solution. Keep your carry-on bag completely gun-free. Always. Have a dedicated range bag for firearms. Never mix them, because one moment of forgetfulness can destroy your life. 10 items, 10 potential disasters, 10 ways to turn your trip into a legal nightmare. From lithium batteries to forgotten firearms. From innocent toys to defensive sprays. From food to vape juice. These aren't obscure regulations buried in fine print. These are actively enforced rules that catch thousands of travelers every single month. If you're planning to fly, check your bags before you leave for the airport. Go through every pocket, every compartment, every zipper. Ask yourself, could this get flagged? And if there's any doubt, leave it home or pack it in checked luggage. The consequences aren't worth the risk. Fines, arrests, missed flights, criminal records, all because of items that seemed harmless. Hit that like button if this video opened your eyes to what you can't bring on planes. Subscribe for more travel tips that keep you out of trouble. And drop a comment if you've ever had something confiscated at security. I want to hear your story. Airport security doesn't play games anymore. Now you know what to avoid. Safe travels.